InObscuria!
Welcome back, my friends, to the InObscuria podcast, a podcast where we exhume obscure rock and punk and metal, and we put them in one of three categories: the lost, the forgotten, or the should-have-beens. My name is Kevin Williams, and I am joined, as always, by Mr. Robert Harrison.
I'm here. I'm happy
here.
to be here. I recovering from an overdose earlier, about 2 hours ago.
Overdose of?
Sloppy Joes.
Below red.
Everybody's posting all their gourmet food and their bread they're cooking. I'm over here cooking Sloppy Joes.
So have you posted any food?
Yeah, I actually
shots?
got deleted and kicked out of a Facebook group where everybody posts their fancy food and look at me bragging this. And I posted a picture of 3-day-old pizza that I warmed up in the microwave. And I wrote a whole story about it, how it was cooked by this Italian chef named John, and everybody loved him. They called him Papa.
Papa.
John. And they deleted it. And
they didn't appreciate that?
No.
You don't need those people anyway.
There was not much sense of humor in that group. So anyway, that's the latest string of things I've been kicked out of.
You have been kicked out of a lot in your life,
It's
haven't
kind
you?
of a badge of honor. Yeah, I don't
is.
really go into things like that thinking, let me get kicked out. But at the same time, it's satisfying. It's like, add that to the list.
By the way, I just want to tell you how much I really appreciate and like your shirt that you're wearing. That looks like a swear shirt from 20...
Oh, I thought it said swamp. It says swear.
No, it does say swear.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe 20...
You think that's
ish?
Oh, it's
maybe
at least
10 years
10.
old.
Maybe more than like 12,
Maybe
13.
more.
Yeah.
I don't know
old
if you.
school.
I don't know if you noticed, but I'm such an artist that I couldn't think about what to put because I do all the artwork, or I did all the artwork for the swear, and I couldn't think about what to put on a T-shirt. So I'm like, I have this thing tattooed on my arm. I might as well put it on a T-shirt.
Will it fit? Yeah, it fits.
So, so that bird that's on your shirt is actually tattooed on my arm.
I see it now. Okay, that's nice. Yeah, I literally was going through some T-shirts today. You're looking for something to put on. I'm like, no. And I went all the way down to the bottom of the stack, and somehow this had worked its way down. And I'm like, nope, it needs some life. So, yeah, it got worn today.
It's actually one of my favorite shirts. So thanks for wearing that.
You're
Thanks
welcome.
for keeping it.
You're welcome.
I'm surprised it's made it this far. Hey, you're listening to us, but you should also go listen to these podcasts. Metal Up Your Podcast, The Dummy Room, Pod of Thunder, Decibel Geek, Podcast Rock City, Cobras and Fire, Growing Up Rock, The Lipstick Panel, Rock Strikes 10, History Science Theater, Podkiss, The Kiss Room, I Love It Loudcast, Ages of Rock, and The Synaptic Empire.
Did they write that down? Was that enough time to write every single one of those down?
Hopefully they got it all. And
Abbreviations.
every single one of the people that are in these podcasts that I just mentioned owe me at least 10 cents.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm going to be rich.
Royalties.
Speaking of Metal Up Your Podcast, Mr. Ethan Luck is one of the podcasters on that Metallica podcast, Metal Up Your Podcast. Ethan Luck is also an amazing musician. He's been in maybe an obscure ska band that we'll play later, but he also happened to be the guitarist that played on the latest music from The Swear.
What?
Yeah, so
That guy.
He's the dude we got to play with us in our most recent recordings, and I'm going to plug myself because I can. So The Swear.
That's allowed. They passed a law in Georgia. You're allowed to plug yourself these days.
Hello. So anyway, The Swear, my band, who has been on hiatus for quite a while. I think our last release, it was a single maybe in 2016 or so. Anyway, we are back. We have 7 songs that we recorded back in December of 2019. It's all been mixed and mastered, and the songs are ready to go, and our album is called The Clinic and the Sane. And you can go to Bandcamp right now, check out The Swear, and pre-order that bad boy and get it on July the 17th. Just a shameless plug.
There's no shame in that. No. We're all about shameless stuff around here.
I think everybody's going to dig it, hopefully. I'm actually really proud of it. It's interesting because prior to joining The Swear, I was pretty much always a collaborator on music and a writer and Either I wrote lyrics or I wrote music or I collaborated on the music. But once I joined the Swear, and that was about a 10-year stint in that band, there were so many songwriters in it that I basically just focused on playing bass and, helping with some of the music, but not from a writing standpoint. So it's been interesting to get back to a band that I never really wrote for, and now I've written half of the material on this new album. So it's kind of a new thing for this band for me. So very cool. Anyway, while I'm just jabbering, also go over and check us out at InObscuria.com. Like us, share us, recommend us, all the stuff on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Please keep the conversations going.
And check out our new line of...
Oh, yeah. Go check out redbubble.com. InObscuria, at the InObscuria store, we have some amazing face masks for you. A whole line of face masks in this time of everybody's masked
in these
now.
uncertain times.
These
You always have to
uncertain
start off like
times.
that. In these uncertain times.
Coming to you soon in these uncertain times. You need an InObscuria mask. That was pretty good, right?
That was
a good movie voice.
That was a good movie. In a world.
Oh, man. So usually I, talk to the dead to get ideas about what we're going to talk about today.
Rummage through dumpsters.
Didn't do that. I didn't do that this week. I didn't do any of that this week. Instead, I had another restless night where I woke up at 4 in the morning.
Ooh, I hate those.
And I can't go back to sleep. So I went downstairs and I cut on the television. And I don't watch a lot of television anymore. But I cut it on, and it was on one of the, either Nick or one of those programs that one of those channels that my kids watch. And the Twilight Zone was on.
Like the original
the old black and white Twilight Zone. And
Wow.
I totally got into it. I actually watched 2 or 3 episodes in a row because they were just playing them back to back. And it got me thinking, it got me thinking about, what's the word? Alternate worlds or kind of what if scenarios? What is it, the Twilight Zone? I forget what they say.
Alternative reality.
Alternate reality?
Yes.
Is that it? Is it alternative or alternate?
No, Alternative Reality was a band. We played with them back in like 2001.
Alternate realities?
Yeah.
Is that what we're going for here?
They were acoustic
Anyway,
pop, whatever.
It got me thinking about kind of those what ifs, because Twilight Zone, that's what it was always about is, in the Twilight Zone, things that should happen don't happen, and it's the opposite or something different. And I was thinking, what if these bands that were huge or that people really know, what if they didn't get big and some other band got big instead of them? And, it just put me down a path of thinking about because of the podcast. And then I thought, actually that does happen. There is a multiverse here that we know about. And that is, there are bands that everybody knows and loves, and members of those bands oftentimes put out solo albums, or they do these project other bands with other musicians, and for the most part, nobody buys that material. You may know the main artist, but you don't go buy the solo album by the bass player from whatever band. So anyway, they set me down a path, and I thought, this is a great subject for a new series we're going to have called Degrees of Separation. And today, I thought, well, what band best to kick it off than my good old friends from Texas, King's X. So today,
I was going to say Kiss, but they're not from Texas.
No. Today we're going to talk about Degrees of Separation, King's X. I don't know what your history is with King's X, but
I didn't know other than their hit single, and then you took me to see them at the Cotton Club.
Yeah, so they're kind of an obscure band, but they're not, because they have a huge cult following of just very, very devoted fans. I would say very similar to Rush, how people are just nuts about Rush. People are nuts about King's X. Not quite on the scale that Rush ever was, but still they've released tons of albums over the years. They've always had fairly decent sales, even though they've never kind of broken through. They're sort of that band that everybody wished would have gotten bigger, but yet people still love to hold them in their pocket as, this is my band, my cult band that
niche
nobody else
band,
knows about.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a niche band. And if you don't know who King's X is, they're an American rock band. They kind of combine progressive music with metal and funk and soul, and they have vocal arrangements in their music that's very similar to like British Invasion, kind of Beatles-esque kind of harmonies, and even some gospel and blues in their music. So it's a true mix of music, and might be the reason that they didn't get to the stratosphere, but they're still a huge band. And I first got into them in 1990 when I used to have one of those alarm clocks that was a radio alarm clock. So every morning a different song would wake me up, whatever was on the radio at the time. And I remember this well. I don't remember any other day that I got woken up by this clock but this one, and it was It's Love. And it must have been the first note because I caught the entire song. And I had never heard it before, and it was on my local rock station near Charlotte, North Carolina. I just sprung out of bed, and I listened to this song, and that was just a blissful 3 minutes of who is this, and how quickly can I get to the record store to buy this once I figure out who it is. And I don't know if you remember, but back then, they didn't always tell you who they were playing. And so I had to wait like 5 songs until finally
do the recap.
Finally, they said who it was.
Hey, at the top of the hour, that was
Exactly.
King Zax.
So I had to sit through 7 Leonard Skinner songs in a row before I could find out who it was.
It's foreplay.
So anyway, that's how I got exposed to King Zax, and that was actually off of their 3rd album, and It's Love.
Great harmonies in that song.
Oh, amazing harmonies. And the interesting thing about that is that every guy in the band, it's a trio, right? And every guy in the band's a singer. However, I would say the main singer is Doug Pinnick, the bass player. And It's Love is actually sung by Ty Tabor, who's their guitarist. So it's pretty much their biggest hit that they ever had. It's also their biggest selling album that they ever had. But the song that they're known for, at least as far as chart success, is sung by the guitarist, which is interesting because most of the other songs that they released as singles were Doug, because he has more of a raspy, soulful voice.
It's kind of like the Cars, where you had Rick Ocasek was main singer on a lot of their hits, and then Benjamin Orr sang their big breakout ballad song that everybody loves.
And I, as a kid with the Cars, I didn't even realize. It never hit me that there were 2 different singers in that group. Never got me.
Yeah, their voices were very complimentary, I guess, but
King Zax, totally, you can tell the difference.
Yeah.
So they're a Texas band, or people know them as a Texas band. They're actually originally from Missouri, is where they all met each other, and this is kind of interesting. So I have a kind of Christian rock past. I grew up in the '80s where that was a thing. A lot of
Petra.
So that's where I'm going. So, yeah, so Petra used to
Nailed
come
it.
around in the South a lot. Petra was a huge Christian rock band. They would sell out stadiums.
Oh, yeah.
In the 80s. I mean, huge. So anyway, in 1979, the guys from King Zax, I believe Doug was originally from Illinois, but he goes to Missouri and he meets Ty and Jerry Jerry's the drummer, Ty's the guitarist, Doug is the bass player. So they all meet in Springfield, and the reason they all met there is they were going to be part of a new version of Petra with I guess the lead singer had split from Petra at that time, and he was going to do like another version of Petra, and it didn't work out. And that was in 1979. So the guys in King Zax are actually older than you think they are.
Wow.
Because King Zax didn't really come on the scene until 87, 88.
Right.
But I believe Doug Pinnick was already 40 years old by that time when they first got known to people. So they've been around for a long time. So after that, here's another Christian guitarist that you may know. They became the backing band for Phil Keaggy. You remember Phil Keaggy?
And it sounds familiar.
I used to hear guys in my town. Again, it's small town, very Christian-based town, and I used to hear people talk about Phil Keaggy, and he's this amazing finger-picking guitarist. He plays on, I guess, some Christian records, and then he does his own thing. But anyway, he's supposed to be one of the most amazing guitarists in the world. And like in the guitar magazines, especially back then, he was always up there on the list of just one of the most amazing guitarists. But they became the rhythm section for Phil Keaggy. And then they started their band. And King Zax's original name, thank God they changed it, was Sneak Preview.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it sounds so 80s.
No.
Their music also, when they were Sneak Preview, was very poppy 80s, think Cars sort of thing, like, that sort of new wave but rock sort of thing. And they decided that they were going to move to Houston, Texas. And this is really where their story starts. So in 85, they all moved to Houston, and they sign on with Sam Taylor. Now, you may remember that name because when we did our Galactic Cowboys episode, I mentioned that Galactic Cowboys manager was Sam Taylor. So Sam Taylor had King's X, Galactic Cowboys, and another band called Atomic Opera, who we haven't played on this show yet, but I'm sure we will at some point. But he had all these amazing bands that all sounded very similar, had that same kind of power and a lot of very melodic harmony-based vocals in all those bands. So I think we talked about it on our Galactic Cowboys episode of how they were sort of a sister band with King's X. So anyway, King's X is the first band that Sam Taylor signed. Sam Taylor was ZZ Top's production vice president. He left ZZ Top to do his own management thing, and he was basically the fourth member of King's X for a while from a creative aspect. So he convinced them to change their name. He told them to embrace more musicality, more progressive style of music, put more emphasis on being musical, but then continue the hooks and the melody and combine that, and you'll have something unique. And they certainly did. And so they got signed with Megaforce in 87, and the rest was kind of history. They've released 13 albums to date. Actually, the last one was in 2008, though, which is quite a while ago. And they're due to have one out supposedly this year, but we'll see. But these guys they're like I said, they're a little older than you may think they are. So I believe Doug he's either in his late 60s or getting close to 70. So
wow.
Yeah, it's amazing in the output that they've had, and I think most people wouldn't realize that he's that old.
I had no idea.
In the time since around 98, 2000, they have also done each of them, a multitude of solo albums, guest appearances, and a lot of project bands that people consider supergroups. That's what we're going to go through today. This is Degrees of Separation. So these are some of those things that they've done outside of King's X. You'll hear some variations on King's X style music, and then you'll hear some things that don't sound like King's X at all, which is kind of cool. I mean, they're just true musicians, the three guys, and I'm going to kind of go through each of them and give you a little taste. So here we go. The first one that I'm going to play from is from 2002, and this is one of Ty Tabor's supergroups, if you will. This is a band called Jughead. If you have this album, good for you, because you certainly can't find it anymore. So Jughead was a supergroup featuring Ty on guitar and vocals, and the drummer and bass player are brothers, Greg Bissonette and Greg Bissonette. Or wait, no. I just said Greg twice, didn't I? That doesn't make sense.
Greg, get in here. Other Greg.
It would be easy for the parents, though. Yeah. Greg Bissonette and Matt Bissonette. That makes more sense.
Greg, this is my brother Greg.
So anyway, Greg is he's the drummer, and you may know him he was David Lee Roth's drummer, so on all the big David Lee Roth recordings, that was the drummer. He also was a drummer for Toto for a while. He was in Santana for a while, and he's been on Joe Satriani's albums, and I actually saw Greg Bissonette play with Joe Satriani at Music Midtown years ago. The keyboardist in the group is Derek Sherinian, who a lot of people know from Dream Theater. He was in Dream Theater for a couple of years. He also has played with Yngwie Malmsteen, Alice Cooper, Steve Vai, Joe Bonamassa. I mean, just top-notch guy on keys. And then, like I said, the bass player is Matt Bissonette. He also played with David Lee Roth. He's also Elton John's bass player. Pretty good gig. He's played with ELO, Satriani, Ringo Starr. These are top-notch dudes.
I've heard of some of those.
Yeah, some of those bands you may have heard of. They're not too obscure, those bands. But this band, Jughead, is. It's a project band, one and done. They didn't tour, maybe played a couple of shows, but they didn't tour or anything. It came out in 2002, so it's more of a power pop, alt-rock kind of thing. Doesn't sound completely like King's X, but it's not too far removed for that time frame, but we'll see what you think.
Now you go to sleep. It's
just kind of stopped all of a sudden.
That's how Jughead does.
Like, and we're done. So 2002, you said, right?
2002.
So that was in the middle of our band. I tried to think of what I was listening to at the time. The only thing I could think of was like Jimmy Eat World was around at that time. And this kind of had that vibe, but it was, it was good. Everything was technically good, kind of repetitive as far as the chorus goes. There wasn't really much to grab
simple
you.
song.
It's real
a
simple.
song.
Yeah, real simple song, but
I think that's what they were going for. It's interesting that these guys who are they're all badasses.
Yeah, they have the ability to take
They
it
could
to
have
the
made a
stratosphere.
badass album. Instead, they kind of make a power pop album that's palatable.
Yeah.
It's just...
Yeah, it's there. Yeah, you listen to it.
It's not vanilla, but it's head bobbing.
Head bobbing, and 5 minutes later, you're like, you got the chorus. I just want to be like you because they repeated it
1,000 times.
Yeah,
I dig it. It's different than anything else that Ty's done, other than a couple of his solo albums have a little bit of this feel to it around the same time. But it doesn't sound like King's X yet. It's not so far removed that you couldn't tell who that is with the guitar tone and with the voice.
That's what got me at first. I was like, I can recognize the guitar tone.
Yeah.
That translated over to that project.
So, all right, we're going to move on. And if you've ever wondered, I know you have. I know you've contemplated this before. I just know you, Robert. I know that you wake up sometimes, you go, I wonder what it would sound like if Winger got together
Kip
with
Winger.
King's X.
Oh, Kip Winger.
What if Kip
he's
Winger
dreamy.
and Doug Pinnick got together and
Oh,
did
that's
something?
so
What would that
dreamy.
be like?
Oh,
Well,
it's
you're
just-
going to find out right
boy.
now. So this is a band called The Mob, and it was a one and done as well. This is a Doug Pinnick supergroup, and it's featuring Doug on vocals only. He does not play bass because his bass player is Kip Winger. So Kip Winger and Reb Beach, both from the band Winger, play on this, and it's really a Reb Beach project, I think, more than anything. And then, you know who's playing drums? Motorhead. Oh, yeah.
Night Ranger guy.
Kelly Kagey's on drums from
I
Night
couldn't
Ranger.
have told you his name. I'm not that in.
He's the dude that sang. He was the drummer that sang.
But this is so timely because it was just 2 days ago. Scrolling through YouTube, looking at videos, and there was a video that popped up, and it was all about the demise of Winger and how Beavis and Butthead led to their demise. Like
They slaughtered. They just
directly
slaughtered
related it.
them.
And they had interviews with Kip, and like he admitted, I was kind of upset about that. And he had asked the creator of Beavis and Butthead, that guy, totally
drawing a complete.
Yeah, but anyway, he'd asked him to let him do an episode so he could make up for it. But yeah, it completely turned them into just pretty boys, which they were. So anyway, not to derail.
Well, had
your
he
story.
not worn what he wore in the videos, and had he not danced like he danced in the videos, that wouldn't have happened.
He didn't help the issue, but it's hilarious how a cartoon brought down these four big guys got taken down by a cartoon.
So, if you actually listen to the Winger, the debut is pretty cheesy. It is what it is. It's very hair metal and kind of icky these days because he's one of the singles is 17, which is
one step above Kiss at 16.
This is true. Yeah.
For some reason that doesn't get played on the radio anymore.
Exactly.
I wonder why.
But if you listen to if you go and listen to other Winger albums throughout the 90s, they kept going, and actually they're really, really good. Like, they were just such a top-notch band as far as the players, and Kip Winger's an amazing bass player. I mean, he played for Alice Cooper in the 80s. That's where he came from. He was Alice Cooper's bass player, and then he went out on his own. Just, phenomenal chops on these guys. But anyway, we're talking about the Mob. So it's Reb and Kip from Winger. It's Mr. Motorin, Kelly Kagey on drums and vocals, and then Timothy Drury, who is White Snake's keyboardist. So you've got some impressive players on this, and Doug's just the singer. So it's got a real glam metal vibe, which is interesting to hear Doug sing on kind of a glam metal style album. And you can tell this is probably further removed from King's X than anything that's out there because he's not playing on it. It's just his voice. So anyway, it's very interesting, and we're going to check it out right now.
Well, first of all, what drugs are you guys taking?
take it in stride. There's a million waves on the water. And I tell you, never run away. Then you're rushing like fire with a burning desire, trying to let them get closer, baby. Turn down, nothing left to play. No more lies. Spend the night. One track mind. Anything goes. Lay it on the line. In the night she brings. Yeah. Yeah, I can give you my mind. There's a million thoughts boiling over, and I'll never turn the other way. I've been waiting in time and rehearsing my lines, 'cause I need to get to you, baby. Turn on, this could be the day. No more lies. Spend my night. Yeah. One track mind. Anything goes. Lay it on the line. In the night she brings. One track mind. Anything goes. Lay it on the line. In the night she brings. Oh, no more lies. One track mind. Anything goes. Lay it on the line. In the night she brings. One track mind. Anything goes. Lay it on the line. In the night she brings. The night. Yeah. The night. Yeah. In the night she brings. All right. Tonight, tonight, tonight. In the night she brings.
It was okay. So it started out with that chord progression, and it wasn't that far removed from King's X until the lead kicked in. And all throughout that song, if you took out that glam lead and substituted something else, it wouldn't be that far removed. Because his voice is the one that I always think of when you mention King's X.
Yeah.
Because Black Flag and other songs, but I forget about the other guy, and he's singing the other hit song.
All three of them sing.
Yeah, so it's hard to tell. But this guy's voice in particular is one that I think of when I think of King's X. But still, that chord progression, his voice, like I said, it wasn't that far removed. But you layer in that glam rock lead, and it's nothing but hairband.
Yeah, and it came out in 2005. I mean, it's
really hairy for that far removed from the 80s.
It was obviously these guys. I mean, this is a one and done. This is a project, a labor of love. This is these guys putting down some songs and putting together a group of folks that they just wanted to get together and jam.
And I'm not saying that as a bad, when I talk about the glam rock lead to it, I wish I could play like that. I would give anything to be able to lead like that. I'm just not that good of a lead player. But at the same time, that's an interesting way to look at a song, that if you could mix in a completely different guitar lead, how different would that song sound?
Yeah, and I guess I should, before I start gushing about Doug Pinnick, I guess I should just say that King's X, for me, they're one of my top 5 bands of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I love that band. Ever since that morning that I got awoken to its love, it's been love with me in this band. So I could listen to Doug Pinnick sing the phone book. I mean, he could just pick up any magazine and just start singing what's written, and I'll be like, oh my God, it sounds so good.
Albert Anderson, 2642 Springfield
The
Court.
guy's voice is just velvet, man. It's just good. It's good stuff. And anything he touches, I don't think I've ever heard anything Doug Pinnick has been part of that I didn't like, which maybe I'm just so biased and fanboy about him that, that's just the way it is. But I've actually met King's X a couple of times. They're super great, nice people. They come out after their shows and shake hands and hang out with fans and, sign whatever you want them to sign and talk to you and chat with you. They're just the coolest people on top of being this phenomenal band. So I can't say enough about King's X. That album, The Mob, I mean, to me, it combines a lot of things that I love. So it holds a special place for me. It's a little cheesy. It's got those keys in it that for 2005, you didn't hear keyboards like that in music anymore. And it's great that they put that in. They do have the keyboards from Whitesnake. And I guess I should mention Reb Beach was also in Whitesnake at the time. He split his time between Winger and Whitesnake.
Okay, yeah, mid-2000s.
In the 2000s.
Yeah.
So actually, he might still be playing with Coverdale when he goes out.
Because he didn't have his original guitarists, plural,
God.
last time. They're...
He hasn't had an original guitarist since the early 80s.
After the recording, yeah. I'm talking about, when I say original, I'm talking about somebody that was touring with him maybe in the 80s or early 90s.
No, I mean, he's had a revolving door, but Red Beach he actually has been with Whitesnake for a while. So anyway, you're getting a little dose of Winger, Whitesnake, and King's X. It sounds great to me.
I'm okay with that.
All right, well, let's move into something that's a little more proggy, because that's what I like to do. I like to throw the prog in here. I'm going to throw it in early. And Ty Tabor has been in a couple of very progressive metal prog projects outside of King's X. And the first one he was in is a band called Platypus. And it features Ty Tabor on guitar and John Myung from Dream Theater, the bass player from Dream Theater, Rod Morgenstein, who happened to be the drummer in Winger, but he was also, before Winger, he was in the Dixie Dregs, which was a very awesome prog band that a lot of people don't know. And it featured also the same keyboardist that he had in Jughead, which was Derek Sherinian. Well, they released a couple albums as Platypus, and then Derek is no longer in the band, and they changed the name of the band to The Jelly Jam. So it's just the three of them, and they go by The Jelly Jam. And they've actually released, I want to say, 4 albums since 2002. So this has kind of been the mainstay for Ty outside of his solo work and outside of King's X. And I'm going to play something from The Jelly Jam off of their last album, which was in 2016. This is a little bit unique because they are ongoing. A lot of these things they do are just project one and done. Mm-hmm. Or maybe 2 albums, but this one's been around for a while. So I'm going to play the song Memphis off of their album Prophet that came out in 2016. It's the shortest prog song.
I was going to say, that's my kind of prog rock right there. I couldn't even finish a beer during that song. Well, I mean, I used to be able to, but not anymore. That was just good old-fashioned rock and roll. I mean,
groove. That's total
rock.
Groove.
I mean, I guess it was a little. It was no more progressive than we were. I mean, in our early days. Later on, we were just straight ahead power rock. But early on, we had some, thanks to your influence, definitely a progressive edge to us. But just as much as that band, if you want to call it progressive rock.
Wonder what my inspiration was. I picked that song because it's a little bit different. And to me, the most interesting thing about the Jelly Jam is not Ty, because I think Ty, he's probably the primary songwriter in all of this. It's all jam between these guys, but the Jelly Jam. But it's primarily him, and it sounds like Ty. The interesting thing to me about this band is John Young, because you think of Dream Theater as just a million notes, you know, especially for
got
John
paid by the
Young.
note.
I mean, John Young, his bass playing, he does lay down the groove in Dream Theater from time to time, but not very often. It's usually just very busy.
Yeah.
And he grooves on all of the Jelly Jam stuff, which is kind of cool to hear him do something a little bit different. So I guess we're tying in Winger to everything, because this is the second tie-in to Winger.
6 degrees of Kip.
It's degrees of separation of Kip. But this next one is not featuring anyone from Winger. So we're going to go to another Doug's supergroup. And this one is cool because I think a few episodes ago I said I'm going to try, ever since our funk rock episode, I'm going to try to infuse a little bit of funk into everything we do. So this is my funk for this week. This is a group that has put out 2 albums, and the group's called Pinnick, Gales, and Pridgen. Obviously their last names. So it's Doug on bass and vocals. It's Eric Gales on guitar and vocals. And
I remember him.
You remember Eric Gales?
Yeah.
He has the Eric Gales Band. He's also the guitarist for Lauryn Hill. And then Thomas Pridgen is on drums. And he was the drummer for the amazingly crazy band, the Mars Volta, if you remember the Mars Volta.
Yeah. Not
crazy prog band, just weird time signatures, amazing. But what they do is psychedelic blues, hard rock, progressive, a lot of soul and R&B and funk. And it's just a big melting pot. And Eric Gales he's an amazing guitarist, and he basically just rips the whole time.
What was his? They had a single at some point.
The Eric Gales Band?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I'll have to Google that later.
I don't remember, but he's also, like I said, been the guitarist for Lauryn Hill. So he's got, they've got this groove background, all these guys. And Doug, of course, is the Groove Machine. So they've released 2 albums, 2013 and 2014. I'm going to release something. I'm going to play something. I'm going to release it. How about that? I'm going to play something from their second album, which is just called PGP2. And this is a song called Like You Used to Do.
One
qualified. Don't overthink it too much. I know you can't deny it. You still respond to my touch. I don't even wanna hear it, and all of it is in your head. Let's just take one step at a time. Let your heart guide the way instead. Do me like you used to do. Like you used to do. Do me like you used to do. Like you used to do. Do me like you used to do.
Forgotten how much I like Eric Gales.
If you can't get into that,
God,
there's
that's
just something
awesome.
wrong with you.
I swear, yeah, you need some help. You need a shot.
That's like a modern version of Sly and the Family Stone.
No,
I mean,
how come
just-
that can't go on for 10 minutes? You
Well,
know?
they have other songs on the album that do.
Okay.
Basically, I think they just rolled tape and said,
Yeah.
"Just go, guys.
And
Just
that's
go."
okay. I'm fine with that because that was awesome. I could have listened to that for another 10 minutes. That's a great groove. The rhythm guitar on that, the kind of the funk rhythm it had going, but then you throw in that kind of lead. Once again, it just really makes that song. It's just that spacey, bluesy, funky guitar lead and not the cheesy glam stuff, which once again, I'm not saying I don't
Love
like
cheesy
that.
glam, but
Love
yeah,
me
this
some
is
cheesy
this
glam,
is a
but-
different spectrum,
Yeah.
right? This is blues based, which is King's X will go here every once in a while, not very often, but they will go here every once in a while. I think that's probably Doug's influence, but again, Doug could just open up any book and sing it, and I'll be like, oh God, it's just so good. So, we've talked about Ty and we've talked about Doug. We've yet to mention Jerry Gaskill.
We're sorry, Jerry.
Sorry, Jerry.
We're sorry about that. We're
Because
going to make
Jerry
up for it.
is a badass drummer. Now, we did play, I don't know if you remember this, but on our Galactic Cowboys episode, their album that came out in 2000, Alan Doss did not play on. He produced the album. Jerry Gaskill played the drums.
Yeah, that was the third song you played
Maybe.
during that episode.
Sure. No, I don't think so. But anyway.
I've had beer. I know everything.
But anyway, that was, so I could have pulled a Galactic Cowboys song, and I thought about doing that, and I'm like, I've already done it. But Jerry hasn't participated in as many projects as the other two guys. He has put out 2 solo albums, and he played on the Galactic Cowboys album. But I am definitely going to play something from one of his solo albums. So Jerry, I guess people that are into King's X know this. One of the reasons that we have not had a new King's X album since 2008 is because Jerry actually had 2 heart attacks. He released this solo album in 2015 after he had 2 heart attacks. And he also he had moved to New Jersey, and he went through Hurricane Sandy and lost everything.
Ooh,
I
bad
mean,
timing.
completely wiped out, plus having 2 heart attacks. He had, double bypass surgery. He's had a lot going on in his life outside of music to keep him away from it. But somehow, miraculously, in 2015, he ends up releasing an album. And I think this speaks to a lot of artists. Most of your inspiration, for whatever reason, comes in times of distress or just times when you're going through something that may not be that pleasant. But usually the outcome is you get a very positive creative output.
I can attest to that.
And I can attest to it as well. I wrote a lot of the swear songs that are on this release that's coming up when I was in between jobs and contemplating my future. That for whatever reason, that's when those creative juices really start flowing. And I guess the same thing for him. So he releases an album in 2015 after all that he's gone through. The album's called Love and Scars. It's completely brilliant. And what's interesting about Jerry is when you think of King's X, you think of those amazing harmonies. And I think Jerry is really the glue to all of those harmonies. Because when you hear him sing lead, and he does it on a few King's X songs, he gets the least of the 3 of them as far as lead vocal duties. But when you hear his solo album, you can tell this is the guy who really studied and really embodies that Beatles, whatever you want to call it, British invasion mindset. He obviously studied all that music, and he knows how to put together great, great harmonies. And this is the reason that King's X has that sound, in my opinion. I don't know that for a fact. That's just me listening to it and going, this is the guy that's making them sound so amazing. And a lot of times when you see them live, you will see Jerry just mouth wide open on those background vocals. He's got that mic next to him, and he's playing these killer drums at the same time. You just don't realize how much the drummer is adding to those vocals. So anyway, this is going to feature Jerry Gaskill. This is from Love and Scars 2015. All these songs have, I'm sure, a lot of personal meaning for him. This is a song called Hypothetical.
Your enemies, even closer still. That makes sense to me, although hypothetical, a medical man who speaks Greek came to take me away today. As he dials in the formulated masquerade, he will take me away today. He will take me. You're only prey when my eyes see all my heart it beats. That's for always till I die. After that, I am on my own, or so it seems. I will trust in God to fly. Hypothetical, a medical man who speaks Greek came to take me away today. As he dials in the formulated masquerade,
Do you know if he was singing harmonies on all of those levels, or was that somebody else in the band?
Mostly him.
Mostly him.
Mostly him. He did have some help, and I was going to mention some of the players on this album, which is pretty impressive. Billy Sheehan played bass.
Nice.
Phil Kagi, who I mentioned, played guitar, and Earl Slick played guitar, who was, he's been in a ton of bands. He played with David Bowie. Very impressive.
Yeah, just great layering on there. It's not
very Beatles.
Overdone.
Had that very British invasion. I don't know if you call it that, but very Beatles-esque, and you can see where that majestic kind of sound that King's X has. You can see where it comes from.
Yeah,
it's from
right
Jerry.
There. It blends so well. It's not forced or anything.
Amazing, and he's such a sweetheart. I think I mentioned I have a chance to chat with him on the Kiss cruise, and he was just the nicest dude. Sat down and talked. I was wearing a King's X shirt that I made, and we talked about it, and he was just chatting and. God bless him, man. He's had some major health issues over the years, and he's still out there doing it. And thank God he's still around.
That's twice one of your homemade T-shirts has gotten you a conversation with a rock star.
It is, yeah. Did I tell you I gave one of my? I made a shirt for the Kiss cruise that had Gene Simmons, but it was Elvis's body. So it was Elvis like with his jumpsuit on and doing the whole Vegas thing, but it had Gene Simmons' face on it.
With makeup?
With makeup,
Yeah.
of course. And I gave it to Ryan Cook, who is, at the time, he was in one of the cover bands that was playing on the Kiss cruise. He ended up being the guitarist for Gene Simmons' solo band. So he told me, so I gave him this shirt because he's friends with Skid Row, and so I met him through Skid Row because we know those guys. And I gave him the shirt. I was like, oh, you might like this. He's like, oh, killer. And he put it on, and he said, I got a meeting with Gene. I'm like, oh, cool. And so he wore the shirt in front of Gene. He said Gene was eating a cookie and laughed and was like, oh, I like his shirt. Well, this is the same meeting where Gene first asked Ryan to be the guitarist in his band and to put together a group that's going to be his solo band because he was going to do
It was
a little
because
tour.
of the shirt.
It's got to be because of the shirt. So
There's no... It's just like the third time that. I'm thinking of... what's his name on the plane?
Jericho.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wearing. Yeah, that's right. I was wearing a shirt that I made.
Vincent Price Invasion.
The Vincent Price Invasion, which has a picture of Vincent Price and Vinnie Vincent
So
makeup.
Kevin walks the plane. Knucklehead. I'm sorry. Chris Jericho was sitting in first class, and as he
Eating
walks
a biscuit.
eating a biscuit,
like spitting the biscuit out of his mouth.
Yeah, he looks so nice shirt.
I like that shirt, man.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah,
you
man,
giggled.
so-
You did admit it. You giggled. a
Oh,
little bit.
I remember I was like, dude, thank you. I like the podcast. And I was like, oh, yeah, I like Fozzy too. Completely forgetting that the reason that Jericho was on the plane was because Fozzy were playing the Kiss
Right.
cruise.
I mean, I'm looking at this guy going, who the hell is this guy? I don't
Well-
recognize him at all.
And I was just thinking, okay, where's Rich Ward, who is, also in Fozzy, was in Stuck Mojo, and he's an amazing guitarist, but Jericho's sitting in first class. I'm like, I bet Rich is not in first class, man. I bet that sucks.
Damn, that sucks.
I bet the rest of the band are not. Anyway, I don't know how we get onto that, but yeah, so Jerry Gaskill, that's the only song I'm going to play from Jerry because, like I said, he didn't do as many projects as the rest of the guys over the years, but obviously he had other things on his mind and other things going on with his life. So I'm going to move on to the next song. I mentioned this band earlier. This is another Ty Tabor joint. This is his proggy first project. This is the first thing I ever saw, and for whatever reason, I remember when I first moved to Atlanta, I lived about, 2 minutes from a Best Buy, and I used to frequent Best Buy quite often.
Oh, that's
because
right. You were right around the corner.
I was right around the corner, and I didn't have anything else to do. I would go to work, and I didn't know anybody else here. So I would go to Best Buy, and there was another place called Media Play, which was this
I remember that.
huge like CD and video warehouse that went out of business. But I used to love going to those two places, and they were close to where I live. Anyway, my point is, I went to Best Buy one day, and I saw this album on the marquee. They would put all the new releases up or whatever, and they had this release, and it said Platypus, and I'm like, that's a dumb name for a band. That must be some crappy pop music. And I pick it up, and it's Ty Tabor from King's X. I'm like, oh,
Sorry, man.
Sorry. So anyway, I picked it up, obviously, and it's the Ty Tabor supergroup that basically put out a couple of albums and then they become the Jelly Jam. So we played the Jelly Jam, but this is Platypus. So the only difference from the Jelly Jam is that it also includes Derek Shinin on keyboards. And if you remember, Derek Shinin was also in Jughead, which we played earlier. So I think all of Ty's supergroups are very incestuous because they basically feature the same people just in different capacities, and they may add one or two people, but he goes back to the same folks. So Platypus released 2 albums. The first one is from 98, and it has the most amazing bad album title. Not only is their name Platypus, but the name of the album is When Puss Comes to Shove.
Oh, they just doubled down on that, didn't they?
Oh, man.
Oh, let's get one more double entendre in before.
If you just Google the album cover, it's equally as bad. It's so out of place for, I think, what was going on in 98. But these guys were playing prog music, prog metal, and they were a prog metal supergroup in 1998. So they were already out of place. So, but it's really, really cool. And Derek Shrinin's keyboards are really featured on the song I'm going to play. It's called I'm With You. Platypus, When Puss Comes to Shove, 1998. Go check it out.
Reaching out for something better.
few exceptions, but for the most part, if you put a Hammond organ in a song, I'm going to like it. And then if you add in a really heavy grooving guitar to back it up, I'm guaranteed I'm going to like it. Just something about that combination. And then my other favorite thing is big harmonies.
Big harmonies.
And that's not that far removed from King's X that I don't recognize.
Not at all.
A lot of similarities.
Yeah, anything that ties part of it sort of sounds like King's X with other guys playing with them.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is.
And its chord progression is kind of that minor chord progression.
A lot of
down,
sevenths and minors.
7ths and 12ths and 8ths and ninth, whatever.
Yeah, 11teens.
11th.
So 2 albums, and then, like I said, they basically take the same band, which, by the way, features Rod Morgenstein from Winger, and they turn into the Jelly Jam. But the 2 Platypus albums are really good. They're probably more progressive than the Jelly Jam stuff. They're more.
Still, that wasn't that progressive. When you say progressive, to me, I think of
more like Deep Purple progressive.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. Like a lot of people will say Deep Purple had a progressive edge to them because of the keys and because of the fact that Ritchie Blackmore and John Lord would play these leads that were just incredible in the middle of a pop song.
It wasn't just a 3-minute song.
Yeah.
So maybe that, and compared to what else was out at the time, that meant
98. I mean,
no, I meant.
Oh, you mean Purple?
Yeah.
You mean Purple? Yeah.
68.
Yeah, 68. So anyway, I really dig Platypus. Again, they chose a bad name, bad album title, and honestly, from a graphics perspective, just really bad album cover. All around, they just made some bad decisions.
Sad.
Some bad decisions when it came to marketing themselves.
I'm telling you, when the graphics disappoint you, that's bad. Like, you can forgive a name, title, but when the graphics are bad...
I'm a graphics dude, so
that's what I'm saying. It lost you.
When I see a band that puts out an album that obviously it's like 101 Photoshop and they use a very common font that you get with your laptop, it's like...
Comic Sans script. And for those of you that don't know, Kevin's an amazing designer, graphic artist. We always had the best merch. Whatever band he's in has the best merch. And we had Frisbee, you name it. We had amazing merch with our name on it. And we look so professional thanks to your designs.
I don't know about all that. But I definitely, that was my first love, was art. And then I got into music later. But I still love art, and I still do all the stuff that we do for InObscuria. That's stuff that I do, and that's really fun for me. But when I see bands that obviously maybe the budget was small, I get that, but still to have absolutely no creative anything going into the album cover, it just makes me sad a little bit. That's the art nerd in me. We have one more song to play, but what I'm going to tell you is there are probably as many bands, projects, and solo material that I didn't play. We can do probably 3 more of these on King's X alone.
Wow.
They have that much content. There's a band called KXM, which features George Lynch and Doug Pinnick, which they've released 3 albums. I mean, I could basically play an entire episode just of KXM stuff. It's that good.
Okay.
There's a whole lot more. I think if folks like this, we'll do another one. We'll do a volume 2, because King's X is just, those guys are just amazing musicians, and they never sit still. They're always playing. They're always doing these side projects, and that's part of why I think I love them, and part of why they remained a cult favorite from so many people, and the reason that so many people say King's X is the band that should have been.
Well, people still relate to them because they still play places like clubs.
They still play clubs.
And where you and I saw them, and you're right there.
Yep.
I mean, literally, you reach up and shake his hand, and there's something about that when you have that connection with the band.
I mean, you're talking about a band that's been around for 30 plus years, and they still come out. I mean, you just think about that. What bands do you know that have been playing for this long that have such a following, even though they may not have the record sales to back up a pompous attitude, but they have enough of a following that they could just act like the Rolling Stones. But they come out after every show, after they've, just have been sweating to death on stage at their age. I mean, let's be honest. Let's be honest, man. As you get older, it gets harder, man.
It's not easy.
At their age, and they come out and they talk to everybody. They don't leave until they've said hello to everybody and shaken everybody's hands. Mm-hmm. Maybe not now. Maybe now we'll just
elbow
do a wave.
bumps.
Maybe we'll
Yeah.
do a wave.
Do a wave.
Going
Hey,
forward.
how you
But
doing?
King's X mask. That's what we need.
Oh, we just
Black flag, black mask.
black mask on my face.
All right, one more song. This is, I love Doug, so this is another Doug project here. This was the first Doug supergroup. This came out in 2000, and this is cool. This is a one and done that just I don't think anybody could have guessed this. The name of the group is Supershine, and it's Doug Pinnick, obviously on bass and vocals, but his band is the guitarist and drummer from a doom metal act called Trouble. Now, have you ever heard of Trouble?
I've been in it many times.
Yes, you have. Now, Trouble, a lot of metal goes like, yes, Trouble. So Trouble is a Black Sabbath-influenced band from the States that helped establish doom as a genre. So in the early 80s, Trouble had several albums that came out that were very influential on the fact that you can take what Black Sabbath did and you can turn it into this whole genre of music, which they did. And Trouble's amazing. The other cool thing about Trouble is they, even though their albums and the music sounds Black Sabbath-y evil, they're known as white metal because all of the lyrical themes, they're all positive.
We're not dying. We are
Yeah.
not going to
So
hell.
everything's positive and kind of spiritual themes. So I don't know that they came out and said they're a Christian band.
I love you.
Exactly. Well, it's like Ozzy though. It's like I love you. Anyway, but it's just different. They took a different spin on doom and turned it into something positive. Yet they also help create the genre that is known as doom. So anyway, for these guys to hook up with Doug in the year 2000, to hook up with Doug and do this group is just super cool. And the other cool thing is there's a cover on this album that I'm going to play. I'm going to play a cover.
You're play a cover.
I'm going to play a cover.
Oh, not the cover
because-
of the album.
No. I'm going to play the cover of the album. It would sound like this.
You had my curiosity.
No,
I was like,
no.
wow, this is new.
There's a cover on this album from one of my favorite bands of all time, Grand Funk Railroad. And it's an amazing song. If you've ever heard the song Shinin' On,
Oh, it's
by
not
Grand
Inagata
Funk.
DeVita.
Dude, that was Iron Butterfly.
Sorry. I'm not that old.
Come on, man.
I wasn't even born then. Give me a break.
I thought you were going to say we're an American band.
that one too.
Yeah, God. Anyway.
I've had beer. me a
Anyway,
break.
the song Shinin' On, Grand Funk, is brilliant. It's an album by Grand Funk. It came with 3D glasses. You should know these things. Anyway, the Supershine version. So you got Doug Pinnick and these guys from Trouble playing a Grand Funk song. Pretty badass. Check it out.
We are winners and losers, rebels or choosers. Put me in
Now I'd like to go back and listen to the Doom album, just to compare the difference between where they normally sound and how they sounded on this particular song.
More Black Sabbath-y
Yeah.
on the Trouble stuff. But I remember when I was first discovering funk music in the early 90s and really getting into that whole scene, and it was evolving how I was playing music and the type of bands that I was in. Grand Funk Railroad was one of the bands that, from a classic rock perspective, had also embraced that sort of music and done a rock thing. So I remember discovering Shinin' On at like a mall in 1992, and I found like a $2 CD, and I got it, and I fell in love with it. And that song in particular was just always amazing to me. To hear Doug Pinnick and the guys from Trouble do just a rocked out, totally amped up version of it. Killer.
Nice.
So anyway, that's what I have for you today, man.
That was excellent.
King's X has had so much output, the guys from the band, over the years, that we can do another couple of episodes. So if you're game, maybe we'll approach this again.
I'm game. Mark it down.
Let's do it. Until then, later, peeps.
See ya.